Have you ever tried something new that was difficult, and after trying and trying again, you just gave up? This is something that everyone has experienced, but in the world of sales, a salesperson cannot give up. Success is driven by empathy and ego drive, as well as having an intuitive hiring process. And ego drive and empathy are going to be the top two characteristics that a salesperson needs to have in order to be successful. So, empathy is being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Whenever you're throwing a pitch to someone and you want to make the customer understand your point of view and where you're coming from, you have to be able to kind of put yourself in their shoes and think about what might be going through their head while you're pitching the sale to them. And empathy is not to be confused with sympathy, because with sympathy, you're going to feel sorry for the customer and you might be trying to sell them something that they don't really need, but you want to make the sale. And if you're going to be sympathetic, then you're not going to really care whether or not they make the sale. And so, what helps your empathy is by having ego drive. And ego drive is going to push you harder to make that sale. And it's very important to have your empathy and ego drive well balanced, because you don't want to be up here with the two or have more ego drive and less empathy, because if you have more ego drive and less empathy, you're not going to be able to put yourself in that customer's shoes, and you're not going to understand fully what is going through their heads, and you're not going to be able to make the sale. So by having ego drive, the salesperson is going to not just want to make the sale, but they're going to need to make the sale. So the empathy part is going to make you understand the customer, and the ego drive is what's going to make you make the sale. And you're going to be frustrated. They might say no a few times, but as long as you have the ego drive, you are going to do whatever it takes to be able to make that sale. So companies spend a lot of time and money on hiring salespeople, and they want to make sure that whenever they are interviewing them, that they possess two characteristics: one, ego drive; two, empathy. Now, how can they tell if this salesperson carries these two characteristics and if they are well balanced? Well, a lot of times the salesperson is going to just say whatever they can say to the interviewer and try and get that position. They know what job they're applying for, they know the company, they know all the right things to say. And sometimes it's hard for the interviewer to realize whether that they're being genuine or not. And so what needs to happen is there needs to be an intuitive hiring process within the firm. And experience is usually a big thing that they look for, but experience is not always it. They might have worked at a dealership for a couple years, and then they might have only sold 10 cars while they're there. Now, that's not very good, and you don't want to bring on a salesperson who's worked and had experience and then didn't do very well. So you have to look at other key factors as well, and that is figuring out whether or not they have the ego drive and the empathy for your for your company, and that is going to make them connect with the customers and be able to make that sale. So in conclusion, a salesperson needs to have a well-balanced two characteristics, and that is empathy and ego drive. You cannot have one and be lacking in the other. You have to have them both down, and you have to really work on it so that you will fully be able to understand the customer, and that you will always have that drive and never want to give up, because you need to make that sale. You don't want to, but you have to. It's not even for the money, it's just because it's something that comes from within. And companies also need to figure out ways that during their interviews they're going to be able to establish a relationship with this potential salesperson and figure out, hey, does this person have the right empathy and the right ego drive, or is he lacking in one or the other? Is he kind of just BSing me, telling me everything that I want to hear? There might be some tests that they can do to the interviewee, and there might be some logical questions that they can ask to really figure out what are they going to bring to the table, and you are going to really cut down on costs by not wasting time and money training these guys and having them come in and then figuring out that they cannot make the sale.